Let me know you are tuning in from either YouTube or Facebook or a little bit of both. You may be over at bonniegillespie.com/live. We are in all the places. If you're watching on replay, please put #replay in the comments over at Facebook, because that is where we leave comments open even after the broadcast is over. Hello, Carry On. Good to see you reporting in from Facebook, and I believe you're in Cork. Hello, Justine. Good to see you. I love your emoji game is on point. I am Bonnie Gillespie, the author of Self-Management for Actors. This is your business and mindset book for your creative career. I am very excited about today's broadcast. Please invite your friends. Keith says, live is live. Fabuloso. Hello, Caroline. Good to see you. Facebook and Texas. All right. Hope everything is going well for everyone. Have you hugged yourself today? Because if you have not, it is a perfect time to do that. It is always a perfect time to hug yourself, because my goodness gracious, we are not getting enough squeezes. You know, I can feel myself up a little bit over there with the side boob. Yes. Hello, Julia, reporting in over at the YouTube or at the live page. I can't tell because those show up the same way in my little aggregator. Hello, Emily. I'm excited that you are here as well. Hi, Lenka. Thank you so much for being a part of our team. I am going to have Lenka drop a link for you into the comments, and I am going to see if it will allow me to do so. No, I'm going to let Linka take care of it everywhere. No, you know what? Actually, I think there is a way that if I do it here, it will actually be at both places, all the places where we have this. Let's just see. Let's find out. That should have gone to all the places. But that is a link that I want you to have that printed out, because we're going to spend some time working on your showbiz checklist, because I really want to focus on things that we can be doing to move things forward, to clear out the clutter of all the noise, of all the overwhelm around a creative career. Happy Capricorn new moon, says Patrick. Yes. Did you set your intentions last night? If you didn't, you still have time. You can set your intentions for the new moon that we just had 15 hours ago. Yes, I'm so glad you're here, Marla. Excellent. I'm having a very bright, very spicy ginger drink from Creation Cafe. Woo! Yes. Okay, so I want you to have that. Go print it if you need to. Don't worry if you don't have access to a printer or can't get that downloaded in time. I'm going to share my screen with you over here, and we're going to work through this together so that you can create your own showbiz checklist, because there are a series of activities that you need to be working on every day. And I actually did the math on this. And after we pull this together today, you will have 18 different things that you can be doing to move your career forward on the daily, which means I basically have given you more than half your month of tasks that you can be doing, and more specifically categories for their tasks, for each of those kinds of tasks. And then we can also use the other rest of the 12 days, 13 days in the month, fewer in February, to do things like work on your craft. Obviously, you should always be doing that, but also to do things like connect with your community in some really meaningful ways, to circle back around to any of the activities that are going to be on this list that you don't necessarily get moving as far as you could or would like to when you first visit that. So you can also take a calendar and map out some of these words on a blank calendar if that is how you roll. But basically, I'm going to give you a framework for how you can spend your energy on your creative career. And whether you are working with us in the 100 days getting gear for the next year, so that you have my support ushering you through 100 straight days of this work on this framework, or you're doing it on your own, because some people are like, nope, I can just do it on my own. Great. Either way, you now have a framework that you can work from. Fabulous. Excellent. And of course, if y'all have any questions, let me know. Just pop them in the chat, and I'm keeping an eye on that. Sam has relocated from New York to the Southwest. Right on. And Jamie is here from Edinburgh. Beautiful. Fabulous. Hello, Jamel. I'm so glad to see you here from Instagram. Thank you for coming on over. All right, so I am going to switch up my little camera situation, and y'all are going to have to give me the yes, 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 this is working. Bonnie, we see you over in the side, and we see the Getting Gear framework on the main page here, or on the main screen. So let me see you from you in the comments that this is exactly what you have. And Caroline says, this is awesome. I ask myself all the time, is this busy work that's not helping me? That's a biggie, because there is so much actor busy work out there, you know? Okay, great. Good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for confirming. All right, fabulous. There is so much actor busy work. There is so much nonsense that we spend energy on that we just don't have to, that we just don't need to. And there's something so great about being able to check with this before you do the work to go, is this actually something that's going to help me move my creative career forward faster? And then sometimes you're still going to do busy work. And actually, Lenka, I did not prepare you with this link, but if you would please drop bonniegillespie.com/ABW. The ABW stands for Actor Busy Work. So bonniegillespie.com/ABW. That will give you my free training on actor busy work so that you can actually know for yourself, is it actor busy work or not, using those checklists as well. Barry says, I have cast off my golden handcuffs and finally am full-time pursuing my acting career. Barry, congratulations. Welcome to the circus. I am so proud of you for making that shift. That is a big one. Let's get started on this framework. You see, I have already put 3 of the words around this framework, and some of you saw a variation on this training back in November. So I want to make sure that if you're like, oh, did I already do this? I think I did this in November. You may have, but because that was a limited scope training that we only did as a live webinar and then kept the replay up for a couple of weeks, I wanted to do something on live stream that would allow this to live out on the internet far beyond that short window of time when we were doing early bird registration for Getting Gear for the next tier, our 100-day challenge. So that's why if you're like, I've seen this, yes and no. This one is with a little bit different purpose. So I want you certainly can grab the paperwork from when you did this before. If you did download that entire workbook, this is going to be a version of this where we don't actually go through the workbook prompts. We're just going to take a look at what each of these blanks needs to be. This in the center here, NTUI, that's next tier you. That's next tier you. So next tier you, of course, is when I envision myself in my true north, in my purpose, I'm aligned with the storytelling that I was born to be a part of here on this planet. I can see who I'm surrounded with. I can see the types of projects that I work on. I can feel what it feels like to be valued for my gifts and the way I interpret material and my craft and my commitment and all the gifts that have been bestowed upon me, and I get to share those with the world. That vision of yourself, that is next tier you. So Brooke is having some Facebook problems. Brooke, please feel free to come over to bonniegillespie.com/live, where we also stream this without you having to be in the Facebook environment. So for people who are bailing on Facebook and anti-Facebook, we always want to make sure that we have an option for the non-social media folks, because believe me, I get it. I totally get it. So bonniegillespie.com/live also has this exact feed, just resident on our own website. And to chat there, I think you just have to have your YouTube login, because there is a chat window there as well. But if Facebook is being glitchy town, that's all right. We got you covered. All right, so here's where we're going to begin. Mindset always. Just like in Self-Management for Actors, how mindset is the very first chapter. It is the most important section of the book. It is how we start off everything, because if your mindset is not in the right place, it doesn't matter if your tools are in order. It doesn't matter if you have all the right relationships. It certainly doesn't matter if you have amazing talent, which is going to go here, because of course you have talent. That's baseline. Of course you have talent. I'm assuming you wouldn't even bother having this conversation with me about wanting to move your creative career forward with intention if you didn't already have talent to share with the world. So of course that's there, but you can have all of that And if the mindset is not in place, you are never going to be able to handle any success that comes your way. You may have a blip of success because you've got some really killer tools. You have a fantastic social media following. Maybe you've got a power agent. You can have a lot of things going for you and you can get pretty far, but you're never going to truly realize next tier you and be able to do the most with your creative gifts if you do not have your mindset in place. And the mindset actually encompasses 3 different things. So the mindset part, I have to be careful with this because it's really challenging to talk with artists about how the craft is so important, how your message, your voice, your work as a storyteller are so aligned with who you want to be in the world and whose voices you want to help amplify, and really important causes like that, and then talk money. But y'all, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Money mindset. There is nothing wrong with getting paid for being great at what you do. There is nothing evil about requiring payment for sharing your gifts with the world. And there's a number that people have done on artists from the beginning of time to make artists feel guilty for getting paid to share their creative gifts. And I'm here to help topple that line of bullshit right there. There is nothing crass about talking about money. There is nothing that belittles your craft or makes your talent less artistry filled just because we insist upon getting paid for doing what we do. And especially when we get up to certain tiers as artists, we are working on projects where somebody is making bajillion of dollars, and we need to clean up whatever it is in our heads that make us feel wrong for wanting to be paid for the work that we're doing. So I'm just going right in on it. Money mindset. Money mindset. If you have messaging in your brain that says, I got to work for free, I got to struggle, I'm a starving artist, I'm an aspiring actor, any of that messaging that's going on loop in your brain, we got to fix that. We got to fix that. Brooke says people that don't want to talk about money are the worst. People, meaning people who want us to work for them. Yeah. Yeah, there's a really big agenda around the power structure of Hollywood. And of course, I don't mean Hollywood geographically, I mean as a concept. There's a really big power structure around keeping artists and keeping the storytelling creatives feeling small and worth less than we really are, because that allows the producers to make more money, make deals that are worse for the artists. There's a big agenda behind keeping artists feeling small. And one of the major tools that producers and networks and executives use on creatives is we don't talk money with creatives. So knowing that creatives come from a set point of, I have to work for free for so long, I'm working copy credit meals, I'm giving it away, it's so much fun, so I feel guilty if I'm getting paid for it. They know that they can manipulate that part of the artist's brain. And so one of the things that we do in Getting Gear for the Next Tier is start talking about money right away. In the first 10 days, we're already having hard conversations about money and money mindset, because if you don't get that shit cleaned up, it is going to be problematic. Patrick says, my therapist had to help me work out the complex I had about being a starving artist versus being a responsible adult. She was like, what about being a responsible artist? Could you do that? Patrick, thank you for sharing that. That's a fantastic framework. Or reframing, rather. Yeah, I had a sibling who needed to tell me, until I stopped talking to him, he needed to tell me that I was irresponsible for my life choices, that I was putting my entire family at risk with my life choices, because what I was doing as an artist would never make any kind of money, and I would then become a burden to my relatives. And I was like, oh, baby, I can unburden you right now. We just don't need to talk anymore. Wendy says, I won't work for free anymore. It's a great mindset to have. Yes, knowing that no line, knowing when we're done with the copy credit meal stage of our careers, knowing that we are finished with that apprenticeship period of our lives is a really important progression up the tiers, but we have to be the ones to declare it, because y'all, there is no end to the number of people who will ask you to work for free at every single tier of your career. It will always continue to happen. I have somebody who I connected with on Clubhouse who then sent an email and pitched, like, here's this big event that I'm doing and I'm charging actors these hundreds of dollars to be a part of this thing and I want you to be a panelist. And then my team's like, great, you didn't mention how much Bonnie's going to be paid to be this panelist. Crickets. And you know why? Because she wants me to work for free for something that she's going to use me to sell tickets for. And I'm like, where's that money going? Like, yeah, I'll work for free if you're a nonprofit. I'll work for free. I'll work for free a lot. I do that out on Clubhouse. I do that here, but I am not going to work for free for a producer who's making money. That is a part of my no line now. So very definitely knowing that is an important part of the mindset. The mindset also has two other equally important facets, and obviously there are bajillion things we could put in here, but I'm going to go ahead and put enoughness over here, and I'm going to put self-care over here. Okay, enoughness is that resting state of knowing no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. Jamie, I love that. I'm showing up for abundance at last. That is a fabulous mantra. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Great. Barry, I love that you enforced that no line with yourself by joining the unions and becoming a professional actor and cutting off the copy credit meal stage of your career just by design. That's really good. Enoughness is that space of, I may not get this role. I may not land that agent. I may not get good feedback in an acting class. I may feel like I could do better, but I'm still enough. Being rejected does not change that I am enough. Being rejected does not mean I don't belong here. I am enough. I am absolutely always enough. There is nothing I have to prove in order to know that that is true. I have that knowing inside. And enoughness is an inside job. The reason this is so primary in mindset is because you're working a muscle. You're working a muscle of, I know I'm enough. Even if I don't get this job, even if I do get this job. With my book, I get a 5-star review on Amazon, I am enough. I get a 1-star review on Amazon, I am still enough. That change in what I'm seeing people say about something I've created does not impact my enoughness. My resting state of enoughness does not rise and fall by things that happen outside of me. And again, this is an important element of your mindset, and self-care, of course, falls hugely in this, because if you are not taking care of yourself, you are going to be withered at every edge. You're going to be frayed at every edge. You're going to have your nervous system tweaked because you're not taking care of yourself when it comes to money, when it comes to knowing I'm enough, when it comes to boundaries. We're going to put that over here. Healthy boundaries. Because if you don't have healthy boundaries, including with yourself and your self-talk, you are going to struggle. You have to hear yourself say something mean to yourself and cut that bitch off. Because if you will tolerate abuse in your own brain, you're welcoming it from anybody outside of you as well. Caroline wants to know, do I relate enoughness to confidence? They are in the same neighborhood, Caroline, but they are not the same thing. Brandon says, enoughness for me is being at peace with not being a lead and having joy in ensemble supporting characters and being a storyteller. Brandon, exactly. Having that, I had that recently, talk about money mindset. I had that epiphany recently with the millionaire mark. One of my business coaches said to me, you have $3 million businesses. She's like, you're exhausted because you're trying to run one business that happens to have multiple businesses under it. You actually have 3 separate $1 million businesses. And I had to sit down with that for a second. I had an upper limit problem. I had a little imposter syndrome peek in on that one where I was like, no, I don't. Oh my God, what is this? I had to do some tapping, had to settle myself down, get my nervous system intact for that. But what it allowed me to do was ask myself, do I want $3 million businesses? And I was like, do I even want $1 million business? And I was like, ooh, what if I have a $500,000 business and a $250,000 business, and then another business that loses money because I can afford that, because it doesn't matter. I'm doing okay with these other businesses. And I realized that I had this thing out there of, I have to be a millionaire. I have to have $1 million business. Like, that's the goal. And I'm like, whose fucking goal is that? Like, that's somebody else's enoughness that needs that. I'm like, I don't actually need that dollar amount in order to know that I'm enough and that I'm creating value. So the self-talk, the self-care, the healthy boundaries, the money mindset, the enoughness, you see it all feeds in together, right? Okay. So you heard me mention True North before, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on this map as well. The True North lives over here. Your True North, if you don't know what that is, just Google Bonnie Gillespie True North. I have several videos out there where I walk you through a visualization that will allow you to know what your True North vision for yourself is. And I use the word vision, but I don't know that it's actually visual for everyone. I was just doing a coaching this morning, and in the session, my client said, I cannot see the specifics of my True North. I do the visualization and then everything gets fuzzy. I can't actually see it. And I'm like, oh, this is so good. Thank you for saying this, because your True North is not a visual checklist of things. It is in fact a feeling. And that's how we are able to know when we're on the road to our True North, because we can just check in with ourselves and go, does this feel like my True North? Or does this feel like it's taking me off the path? And again, if True North is a foreign concept to you, just Google Bonnie Gillespie True North, do the visualization. I have one that's longer, one that's shorter, both out on YouTube, both free. Check those out. And then once you've done the True North for yourself, really get a sense of, is it a visual or is it more a sense of just knowing, a feeling? And then we can always tell when we're operating toward our True North, when we're really working toward that version of ourselves who is living out all of the truths of what our storytelling potential could be. So getting that True North calibrated and recalibrated, and knowing that you regularly will recalibrate that vision or that feeling is important, because then the phrase is not, I'll know it when I see it. It's, I'll know it when I feel it. And you can go ahead right now and connect with the feeling of what it's like to be working in your True North. Okay, so we have the foundation of talent. We have the True North vision out here. There's one more big item that lives outside of this framework that I want to make sure that we put into this. And that's going to be time. And no one likes this one. No one likes this one. The reason no one likes time is because it's the thing we can't control. We cannot force time to move faster. We cannot stop it from moving as fast as it does. Time is going to pass, and it just is what it is. And a lot of the work that we do with this framework takes time to see pay off. So what we're doing in creating this framework and this system for success is we are building in what are all the components that we need to keep moving along in a healthy way regularly, so that over time, our talent can get us to our True North, because we have this system thriving. Yes. Okay. Ask anyone who has ever been successful how much time they gave it, and they will tell you as much time as it took, because there is no one amount of time that it takes. I used to say in self-management for actors, it takes a decade before you can actually see the impact of your work in your creative career. Is it a full decade? For some people, it's longer. For some people, it's less. It's going to vary. But for the most part, the stuff that takes a lot of time is getting out of our own way and stopping self-sabotage that starts to happen when we have tiny little bits of success. Yes, exactly. The construct of time, the illusion of time, the convenient way that we humans like to label why it is that we are born and immediately starting to die. Like, we use time to measure all of that. It's not real. But that's another conversation for another day. All right. So what we also have, of course, as we move into our tools and our relationships, is we have our brand umbrella. Your brand umbrella is that overarching you-ness, and every type that you play lives under that umbrella. So you have your brand is the umbrella under which all the types you play live. And this really helps with the issue of my type being all over the place. I hear from a lot of actors who say, I do the surveys, I get results that are over here and over there. It's like, it's all over the map. Like, what is my type? It's all over the place. It's like, your type is not one thing. Your types are a lot of things that all live under one brand umbrella. And that brand umbrella is the connective tissue of who you are as a storyteller. Okay? So you working toward what types of roles do I play under my brand umbrella is going to keep you very focused on what your roles have in common, and they all have something in common, or else you wouldn't have been the one cast. But knowing your brand umbrella and being very clear on everything that you put out there from a marketing perspective, aligning with your brand messaging is a very big part of what we do in the 100 days. And it's interesting, we're right now, the live round that started on January 1st, we're right now opening day 13 today. And we've already had a couple of brand specific days, and we had our first live Zoom on Sunday where we do Q&A and help with any block busting that needs to happen. And we also have a couple people who just joined the 100 days on Sunday. And they're like, I don't care that the live round already started. I want in. And we, of course, can make that happen. And that's something that if you would like to explore joining us for the 100 days, even though we're now 13 days into a live round, if you're like, I don't care, put me in, I want this, you can go to bonniegillespie.com/offer. And that is the only link right now that will allow registration for getting gear for the next tier. But at this point, in the live round, where we have now done a couple of days that are starting to really get you to check in with your brand and your brand umbrella, we're having some people who are going, oh, God, I need to change my headshot over here. I need to change my website over there. I need to redo this. I need to be in this kind of craft class now that I'm getting clearer on what my brand is. And I always caution my beautiful clients and students of Getting Gear for the Next Tier membership, don't rush to change all the things about your brand on day 8 when we first do a brand survey. Your enoughness shifting actually changes your brand. So the work that we're doing in the 100 days is giving you so much support for your enoughness, and you're getting so much better with your healthy boundaries, and you're doing such a good job with your mindset and your true north and your self-care, as well as relationships and tools items, which we're going to get into next, that your entire brand deepens and shifts as we do this work. So you wouldn't want to rush in and change all the things about your brand messaging this early on in the process, because you're still getting very clear on who it is you are as a storyteller and who you want to be as a storyteller and who those buyers are for who you are as a storyteller. So there shouldn't be a rush to doing too much shifting in your brand messaging. But having that all on point this is probably the number one thing that people come to me for. Most people who want to work with me want my help with their brand. And what they really want, unfortunately, is tell me my brand so I don't have to figure it out, and so I have someone named Bonnie Gillespie to point at if it's wrong. And that's why I will not, for any dollar amount, tell you your brand. I will teach you how to create a brand survey. I even have a kit out there that is your castable type and brand. If you go to the hot sheets, the self-management for actors hot sheets area of my website, and again, Lenka, this is something I didn't prep you for with a link, but if you go to dojo.bonniegillespie.com, there is a section there called SMFA hot sheets. Totally free. You don't even have to give me an email address. It's just totally free additions to Self-Management for Actors 4th edition. And one of the things there is your type and brand survey kit. And I walk you through how to create your own type and brand survey to start getting data. I love helping you get data that answers your own question. I will not be the one, even for $10,000, to tell you what your brand is, because your brand is based off data from lots of buyers, and I am only one buyer. So this is work that a lot of people don't want to put in, but it is so worth it, because once you've learned how to learn what your brand messaging is, you can also tweak it when you need to. You can steer into things that are shifting in you. You can steer into things that are shifting in the industry. You can steer into things that are shifting about the kind of messaging that you want to put out in the world. And you don't get to do that if some king, god, lord of Hollywood anoints you a certain brand and you decide, okay, I'm labeled, that's done, check that off. All of this is a system that is living, breathing, constantly being recalibrated and working on one another's strengths. As you do work in your brand umbrella, you're going to find your boundaries get tested, because you're going to start saying no to certain kinds of jobs because they don't fit under your brand umbrella. And then you're going to say no, and you're going to find that this then gives you a ding in your enoughness, because once you say no to someone, then they stop coming around and asking. You start feeling like you've done something wrong. You just asserted a boundary. It doesn't mean you've done something wrong, but it could give you a hit of enoughness. So this all works together, and that's why it is delivered as a system rather than a one-shot thing that you can do. So let's continue filling this out, and then we're going to get to what is the checklist for your showbiz career, so that you can be doing things every day that move you toward that next tier you. Next tier you, right there in the center. Next tier you. And Lenka, just for people who've joined us more recently, if you could please drop the link. No, wait, I still have it in my copy paste. I still have it in my copy paste. So that should go to all the places. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Fabuloso. Okay. So this is so you can fill this out with me. It's also in the description of this live stream. Amber says, I'm recalibrating my brand right now. The system for that has been continuously helpful, Bonnie. Amber, that makes me so happy to know. It is an honor to get to support you in our membership, and I am thrilled to know that the recalibration process doesn't feel threatening, but instead feels like something that is supported because of the work that we do together. And because you're putting in the work, because you're not just going, check, I did that thing, I opened that day, I took that course, therefore I'm done. It's, you know that it's a workout. You know that you are constantly strengthening your muscles around this, and you're showing up for the workout regularly. That's a big, big yay for you. Oh my God, there's so much ginger in this. Okay, let's move over to the tools. You have your marketing assets. Your marketing assets include things like your headshot, your resume, your demo reel, website, yeah, but that's also going to be in the next one, so I'll go less on that. But this is your arsenal of materials that show what your brand is about to your buyers, which we're going to get to last. Okay? So your marketing assets are a big part of your tools. A lot of actors come to me for headshots. Oh my gosh, headshot advice. Just before going live here, I was on Clubhouse. Oh, and by the way, real quick, those of y'all who are new to Clubhouse or who are waiting to get your invitation to Clubhouse, please make sure when you get on the waiting list by downloading the Clubhouse app on your iPhone, that you have your phone number correct and not like a Google Voice number, but your actual textable phone number in there, because then anyone who's already inside who has your phone number in their address book will get pinged with, hey, so-and-so is on the waiting list. Do you want to help them in? And so then we can hit a button and help bring you in. The reason I'm bringing this up is I was just doing a Clubhouse talk before this live stream, and one of the questions was, what do agents look for in an actor's headshot? And I'm like, the good news is self-management for actors and data is your friend. All you have to do is go to IMDb Pro and open the headshots, or open open the links of every single client repped by an agent you're targeting, and you can see what their headshots have in common. What is that vibe? What is the type of headshot that agency tends to like for its clients? That's all stuff that you can use data to figure out. But there is no one, like, here is the headshot. And anybody who tries to say this is the way a headshot has to be shot, follow the money. They probably have a big agenda for telling you that there's only one way, because there's not only one way. There's not only one way. That's why it's self-management for actors. That word right there, self, is because it's going to be different for every single person. France says, the cool thing about the branding survey is even if I change the picture, I got the same result because it's about my soul. Fact. 100% true. France, correct. Because people are, well, it's the Maya Angelou quote, people don't remember so much your name or what you've said or what you've done. They remember how they feel when they're around you. That's what we remember, is how you make us feel. And even if we've never met, your picture makes me feel a certain kind of way. And that's why the branding survey is so incredibly valuable. So getting your marketing assets in alignment with your brand umbrella and making sure that they are serving your true north is a very important part of this whole framework. Next, of course, you heard me allude to it before, is your online presence. Is this helping to have this visual spelled out right here? Because I know this is all stuff that I've talked about approximately a kabajillion times, but I think having it actually visually spelled out like this really gives you a map that you can look at. Melissa says, so informative, loving this. It's in alignment with the work that I'm doing. Thank you. And fire emoji. I love the fire emoji. Let's see. Wendy says, when I met with my agent after your self-management for actors course, she knew who my headshot photographer was. Also, my latest headshots are my best, all based on your advice, me on my best day. Wendy, that's fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay, great. Okay, good. Because it's a lot of extra little steps to be able to do the overhead camera and the picture-in-picture and doing all the things. So I'm so glad that it helps. Okay, cool. Good. I'm so glad. Okay, Tanya, thank you. Because that was something someone in our dojo in the 100 days said, I really need to be walked through this framework again. And I'm like, well, perfect timing. I have a live stream going on Wednesday. So Jeff, are you here? Jeff, are you here? I'm just asking because I haven't seen you in the comments, and I want to make sure that you see I got your lifeline for you right here, baby. Okay, your online presence, of course, includes social networking, which for some people isn't a thing. You may not need to do social networking. There are certain brands that actually suffer from having too much of an online presence. If you are taking pictures of every bite of food that you eat and making duck lip selfies with all the filters, you could actually be eroding your most castable brand in front of your target buyers. So please know you do not have to be on social media ever, but your brand may align with a big social media presence, and that's why it's different for each person. And you will only know that when you have done the work to survey and get your brand messaging clear for that true north path. But your online presence does include the ability to be Googleable. You must be Googleable. If you cannot be Googled, you are telling your future buyers, your potential buyers, I'm going to let you figure out, I'm a rave, and you're not going to be told how to find me. You're going to have to figure it out, and it's going to be really hard to figure out. And then if you're doing things like submitting all the time and not getting called in, and you're like, why do I never get called in off submissions? I'm like, is that all you're doing is submitting? Your practice is submitting, not also being Googleable. If I want to look up some of the keywords to your brand and did a Google, I wouldn't land on you. There's work to do there. So this is all obviously a part of the self-management for actors and getting gear framework and the 100-day challenge as well. Again, those of you watching who want to join us, we did just start our live round on January 1st. So we would start you, if you join today, in your day one at midnight Pacific. But you could join in with our very next live Zoom, which they take place every 10 days throughout the live round. So you're actually not that far behind when we'll be doing our next live Q&A for the material. So if you're interested in that, you just go to bonniegillespie.com/offer. That's the only way in right now. All the other sites that we usually have pointing to getting gear for the next tier or a 100-day challenge are down right now. Or they're not down, they're just on wait list, because we usually very firmly cut off the registration deadline of December 30th. But because of Clubhouse and being in front of so many people who didn't know self-management for actors existed before December 28th, December 29th, December 30th, and today even, I want to make sure that if you're like, no, this is everything I need in my life, I need support for this, I need a 100-day challenge of this with Bonnie and the team, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to get in. So that's bonniegillespie.com/offer, and Lenka will drop that in the chat at all of our locations as well, just so you have that to click through if you need more support. But obviously, you can do all of this yourself. You can do all of this yourself. You can do, it's like diet and exercise. You can do it all yourself. But personally, I have a personal trainer. You know why I have a personal trainer? Because I know what happens if I leave it all up to me to take care of my physical fitness and my health and my rockin' bod. I know where I will let inertia slip in, and I know where I will let some habits continue in a direction that may not be getting me to my true north goal for my bod and my health. As a 50-year-old woman, I got goals. I got goals, and that means I need a team, and part of my team is my personal trainer. So you decide what kind of support works for you. I'm just letting you know it's here for you if it would help. And then finally, in your tools is your content. And here's what I mean by your content. Your content is everything you put out in the world. Your comments here are a part of your content. When you raise your hand and ask a question on Clubhouse, that's your content. Obviously, creating your own content with intention, like shooting a short, shooting a single scene, shooting something for your demo reel, which is one of your marketing assets, blog posts, social media posts, photos that you put up on Instagram, stories, TikToks, whatever, all of this, that content is a part of your online presence, which is a part of your marketing asset arsenal, which is all a part of the tools that are under the brand umbrella, and it needs to be leading people to your true north with everything you do. So for example, self-management for actors is the result of all the questions that actors wrote in to my very first column. I started out as a columnist in 1999. I was still an actor, and I worked for Backstage. And I had a weekly column called Casting Cues, where I interviewed casting directors and interviewed hundreds of casting directors. And during that first few months of interviewing casting directors and putting up those columns every week, and they went out in a physical paper back then, we would get emails in to my column with people asking questions, actors wanting to know, well, what about this? This casting director said that's how long a reel needs to be. That casting director said this is how long a reel needs to be. What's the rule? And I was like, oh my gosh, what's the rule? And I'm a data junkie. I love numbers and statistics, and anything that you can measure and track patterns in turns me on a great deal. So for me, this was a fantastic challenge. I'm like, I'm going to go find out. And so I would survey the casting directors that I had already interviewed. I would go through and ask pointed questions in future interviews to find out what are the answers to some of these questions. And in tracking the patterns, I was able to create self-management for actors, because it is the answer to all the questions about what are the rules. Here's the thing though, depends on your buyers. The rules are going to be different for different buyers. The rules are going to be different for different you, because you're going to have a different true north from somebody else, which means you may have a need for online presence that is different from your very best friend, because your best friend has a different true north. It may be in the same neighborhood, but it's a different true north. Your best friend has a different money mindset than you do, so they may have different levels of blocks when it comes to upper limit problems and imposter syndrome. They may self-sabotage in a way that's different than how you self-sabotage. Your boundaries may be different from theirs. It's all going to mean that there's no one way to get this done, but there is a framework that will allow you to relax about, am I doing the right stuff? And the content that you put out in the world needs to be brought through a lens of, if this is the only thing someone lands on about me, does it tell the story of my brand umbrella? Does it show the trajectory of my true north? So back to the column I started writing in 1999. Every single week for the 4 years I was with Backstage, and then when I jumped over to Actors Access and was a columnist there, so for a total of 16 years I had a weekly column. Every single column that I wrote was put through the brand filter with the answer to the question, if this is the only thing someone sees of mine, does it tell the story of brand Bonnie Gillespie? Always that answer being yes. Because if the answer was, ooh, no, this one's so different, they won't understand, then I would go through and make sure I linked to previous columns or used on-brand phrases. Because if you treat every piece of content that you put out in the world as a form of advertising for next tier you will suddenly get way more intentional with what you're putting out there. You will get a lot less reactive when it comes to social media and how you behave around hot button issues. Or it may be incredibly on brand for you to get really heated about political issues in your online presence. And that's okay as long as it is informing your brand umbrella and your true north to your buyers, which is where we're going to switch now. So just checking in on everybody. Are you breathing? Do we need a self-hug? This is a lot. I want to make sure that everybody's feeling good. Let me know in the comments how you're doing. How's your head? We have 4 more blanks to fill out, 3 here and 1 here. Thank you, Johnny. Love the book from Berlin. I was just in Berlin a little over 2 years ago. It was the first time I've ever been there, and I cannot wait to go back. What a beautiful city. Self-hugging now, says Emily. Good. Do this, Stephanie says. Always. Okay, good. Good. I'm so glad. All right, fabulous. We'll take a little juice break. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Hugs. Okay, good. All right, y'all are doing well. All right, good. Take that breath. All right, we're now going to move over here to relationships, and then we'll end on this blank here. Okay, so the fun part about relationships is, there's a big section in self-management for actors on relationships, and of course it's talking about your buyers and all the people that you're going to have to do your work with and your fan base. And of course, there's the population of thirds out there. If you're not yet aware of that, you can just Google Bonnie Gillespie population of thirds and land on a live stream where I talk about that. It is a game changer, especially if you struggle with haters or people who just don't get you. Or just don't like you, and if it feels really bad, it's supposed to. Evolutionarily, it's supposed to feel bad because there's a part of your brain that goes, oh God, if I'm not liked, I'm prey. And if I'm prey, I could be dead. And rule number 1 in how to be a human is don't die. So when someone is mean to you, when someone is a hater, when someone says, even just something rude or looks at you sideways, the reason it breaks your brain is because there's a primal part of the brain that goes, I could be killed now. So it just know that it's absolutely normal to be in that kind of headspace when someone doesn't like you. But the population of thirds, as Brooke says, is a game changer. Melissa says, feeling fab. I'm journaling. Lockdown feels more productive and manageable. Good. Because, oh my God, if right now during quarantine times, I can give you some work to help you feel like you're still plugged in with your creative career and making some good choices and doing some amazing things to help move things forward. What a gift. I am thrilled to be able to do that with you. Whether you're joining me for the 100 days or not, I am thrilled to be able to add to your sanity during a seriously fucking insane time. Okay, but let's talk about these relationships because yes, we have your target buyers. I'm just going to call them targets. Your targets. Your target buyers are your casting directors, your directors, your showrunners, your producers, your writers. Your work there with those types of relationships is make sure that the people who directly benefit from knowing you exist because your brand umbrella and your true north align with the kind of storytelling they do. Because each one of these targets has their own version of this system, and you want to intersect with them where their true north and your true north align. Got that? Yeah, right, Jennifer, isn't that good? Yeah, once you know that that's why that hurts so much, you can kind of let it stand down a little bit when it happens, because it's still going to happen. It's still going to feel like shit, but you can go, okay, The amygdala is just freaking out. It's cool. And right now, by the way, amygdala freaking out a lot for a year now. We've just had nonstop amygdala activation. And honestly, for more than 4 years, frankly, we've had it in a totally different way. So your targets are the buyers who are most aligned with exactly what it is that you do and how you do it. Your job, if you're working in Los Angeles, before pandemic times, we had 723 casting directors. That number is less now because certainly some people just took the quarantine time as a chance to go, I'm out. I was going to retire in a couple of years anyway. I'm done. But let's use that number because that's the data that we have. 723 casting directors in LA alone. Your job is not to target 723 casting directors. Your job is to find the 6 to 12 casting directors of that 723 casting directors who consistently create content that aligns with your true north. So content that aligns with your brand umbrella and your true north story, and make fans out of them. And that's a lot more doable than making 723 people aware of you. So obviously, if you don't know targeting from Self-Management for Actors, there's a whole section in this book on targeting. And also, if you Google Bonnie Gillespie targeting, you're going to land on too much. But when we get over here to this next one, your team, this is your agent, your manager, your publicist, this group of folks. With this one, you can Google Bonnie Gillespie how to get an agent, and you'll land on information about the targeting process as it relates specifically to your team. So I have that out there for you for free. Justine, that's so sweet. Says, you've been a lifeline during these pandemic quarantine times with all of this. Plus, hashtag the astrologer's daughter. Wonderful woo. Big time helping and inspiring. Thank you. Justine, that is so cool for me to read. Thank you, sweetheart. It is always such a delight to get to jam with you. And I love that you're enjoying the astrologer's daughter work as much as I am. That is something that is connecting me with my mother, who passed away 20 years ago, in some really beautiful ways, at a time in my life where I'm now reaching the age that I remember her being such a prominent astrologer. And it's allowing me to really tap into some of those gifts that I grew up around, and serve my clients in a completely different way. Like I get on a coaching call with a client and think we're going to be talking about headshots or the team, and we want to instead talk about what's going on in Big Astro and how it relates to their chart. And I'm like, great, I'm here for it. Let's do it. What kind of year are you having numerologically? Let's find out what kind of work you're going to be doing. I mean, why not use all the tools we've got, right? So your team, very important that you align yourself with a team that has the ability to get you in front of your targets with your brand umbrella, all of your marketing assets, your tools in front of the right targets. This team should help you do. And of course, your money mindset is in good order because you've already been working on that, so that we make sure that when it's time to talk contracts, when it's time to say, I am ready to work guest star billing, co-star money, and then the next job is going to be full-on guest star, that these are conversations that you're not feeling sticky about having because we've already been working on the money mindset and giving you the language that you need to be able to have those tough conversations with your team, so that they can uphold healthy boundaries for you and really set that no line. And then you have the enoughness to know that it was the right time to make that boundary and to stick with it. And then to trust that it's going to take time for you to be seen at that new tier, but boy, is it worth it. And again, this is all stuff that we do as a part of the 100 days. So for those of you who are like, yes, please, need more, we can let you in at bonniegillespie.com/offer. And no, I don't know how long we're going to leave that link out and available, because we are in a live round and we usually don't onboard new people once the live round is started. We usually are on waitlist only. So I just want to mention that because I see more new viewers have come in since I've said that last time. So I just want to make sure that that is on your map and on your radar. And if it's not something you're ready to do right now, that's okay. We're not going away forever. It's this. I'm just right now opening the window for a little bit of time, and then we'll reopen for another wave of enrollment in a few months. But right now we're in the live round, which is a very special time because we do live Zooms every 10 days to help support you through this. All right, final blank here, and then this one down here I'll come to at the very end. So right here, this is your support system. Your support system is different from your team because your support system is your friend group, your family, your relatives, those may be separate things, the kind of friend you are to yourself. Things like working with us for the 100 days in the dojo. I am a part of many hundreds of actors' support system. So it's your coaches, it's your craft coaches, it's definitely your therapist. Your support system has some really important people in it. And the reason your support system is right up here against healthy boundaries and self-care is on the other side of that is because your self-care and your healthy boundaries and your support system all need to work together really beautifully. Because if you are not in a position of upholding healthy boundaries around your support system, your self-care will really start to suffer. And if you don't have good self-care and a good support system, your boundaries, it could be great and it won't matter. These three things are key to getting this crossover from mindset to relationships, and it informs all the rest of the relationships, because you're going to have a healthier relationship with your team and a healthier relationship with your targets when your support system is healthy and serving your healthy mindset, which of course includes the enoughness, the money mindset, and the self-care. You see how all of this plays together? The final blank we're going to do here is consistency. And this is where most artists suffer. I don't know, money mindset's a really big one for a lot of artists, and brand I know is a struggle for a lot of people. But consistency it's interesting. In Expansive Capacity, which is our Mind Body Mastermind for alumni only, next month we're doing your relationship with change, and we're specifically looking at immunity to change, which is this way of labeling. I know I want to change. Let's use diet again. I know I want a healthier diet. I know I want a better relationship with my personal fitness. I know what I need to do in order to achieve the goals that I have for my body. And yet, sometimes I don't make choices that align with that want. Why? And there's a very interesting bit of brain chemistry in action for that. It's not you, it's the way you're wired. So one of the things that this system relies on, and that any system relies on, is consistency. And in fact, you may be like, wow, I've never had a system before. Oh no, you do. You do. You have a system by default. You are already consistent with a system that may involve absolutely no self-care. You are already consistent with a system that may be very lackadaisical about your brand and not at all mindful in choosing the brand messaging that you're putting out in the world. You're always choosing your brand, whether mindfully or by default. If you're not being very deliberate about it, you are choosing default branding. You're letting people outside of you label who you are in your brand messaging if you're not choosing how you're being specific about it. Take a screen grab of this if you need to, all filled out, but hopefully you were able to fill this out along with me. Yes, Jamie says, amazing that millions of actors worldwide think that simply smashing the targets button again and again is the only necessary bit for success. Not only that, Jamie, but they think grab your targets, or worse, no need to target. Anybody who is in casting is a target. There's not actually a subset of casting directors that align with my true north and who I want to be as a storyteller. They go, nope, you're a casting director, I need you. See my DMs at Instagram since joining Clubhouse. Every couple of hours, I have someone new in my DM saying, hey, you're in casting. Great. Here's all my shit. And they just vomit a copy and paste of all their things, all their marketing assets. And I'm like, what do I cast and what am I actively casting right now that aligns with your true north? I'll wait while you Google it or go to IMDb and imagine what I last cast and how that might line up with what you do, but we're not actively casting right now. So why? Why are you shoving all your shit into my DMs? Because I am a target? But am I? Am I a target, or am I just someone you labeled as someone who works in casting some of the time, so therefore I need to get my shit in front of them? You know? Barry, it's absolutely my pleasure. This is all hashtag creating the Hollywood we want. Barry's commenting on the generosity of this training and other free assets that I put out. assets that I put out in the world. It's part of creating the Hollywood we want. This is what I can do to give back to an industry that has taken such good care of me as we are transforming it, as we are changing what show business is and can be in the world. I think it's incredibly valuable to share our toys. So I'm happy to do that. And just thank me when you hold up something gold and shiny. Like, seriously, we'll call it even. Okay, so let me now give you can I share? This is something I did not check ahead of time to see if I can do. So hold on here. We're gonna switch. Nope, can't do it. All right. So we're going to go to that. All right. I thought I was going to be able to do an overhead, or not an overhead, a window share, and I didn't set that up ahead of time. And so I'm realizing that's why that didn't click the way I wanted to. But here's what I have. I'm going to give you a link, and Lenka is going to share it as well. Barry says, creating the Arkansas I want. Good luck, babe. Good luck. All right. That link right there that I just put in the chat will take you to a list of what we just did in filling this out together, which, oh, by the way, look at that. I love Canva so much. That link that I just popped into your chat will take you to a list of prompts that this is what you need to be focusing on every day. And then I'll open it up for questions. So take a moment. If you've got a question for me, if you could please put Q at the start of your question in the chat so that I catch that that's a question and not a conversation that you're having with somebody else here, or just a comment on what we're doing, that it is an actual question that you need my eyes to go to so that I can help out. That would be amazing. But in this link that I just dropped in the chat, you are going to be able to check off 18 things. And if the months are 28 days, 29 in a leap year, 30 days, 31 days, I've just given you 18 things that you can do. Kristen, right? Come on. Canva is just crack. I love it. I feel like such a designer. It's amazing. You can have these 18 things that are in that link that I just shared as your guiding force for how you spend your energy each day. And so if you're able to say, today I'm going to do some work on my money mindset, and then tomorrow I'm going to do some work on my talent, my craft, and then the day after tomorrow, I'm going to work on my online presence. And that's going to be different for everybody, which is why I'm not prescriptive about today, get 10 more followers, or today, overhaul your about me in all the social media places. If you want prescriptive advice like that, you have to come into the 100 days, because in the 100 days, which is bonniegillespie.com/offer, I am taking you through a checklist of things that you need to do to support this entire system long-term. Note well, this is a gym that you go to every day. And some days you don't go to the gym. But the gym is always there, and these workouts need to happen. And you can really tell when these workouts don't happen. I came up with a great metaphor for this, actually. So I had lingual braces a couple years back, like 1,000 razor blades on the inside of my mouth, cutting my tongue at all times. It was torture for somebody with Mercury in the 10th house who cannot shut the fuck up. I was constantly being tortured by razor blades attached to my teeth, killing my tongue always. It was horrible. When I don't wear my retainer as much as I should, I can tell. Not because I see things shifting, but because the next time I put the retainer in, I go, whoop, there's been a tiny little shift. That's how this works. You know that this is the workout that needs to happen in all these areas. And I would love it if you would tell me in the chat, which of these big areas feels the weakest for you? Relationships, tools, or mindset? You could share even more granularly if you would like to, but the big picture, relationships, tools, or mindset, which of those big three feels the hardest for you? Because when you don't wear your retainer like you should over enough time, your teeth will shift. All right, so let me see some of these questions. Alrighty, hang on here. Let me just rearrange some things. Kitty says, seeing you write out the worksheet was really helpful. I'm more visual over listening. Yep. You're welcome, Kitty. Absolutely my pleasure. Nalani says, question, if we stopped the program because of COVID, do we just sign up to start over? Nalani, reach out to the team. Just reply to any Bond Blast or email help@bonniegillespie.com and let's discuss what the options are, because we definitely had some folks who had to stop their membership last year due to COVID, and I don't want you to have to come in as a new student. But we'll have to take a look. That's going to be case by case. So just email the team and say I need to come back, and we'll work something out. We'll work something out because we know it was COVID times. Come on, it's crazy. Stacy has a question. How does this working for free work if you're acting and producing your own material? For instance, I invest in and co-produce my own film, but I don't pay myself up front, but I pay others and pitch it. So hopefully I get paid my investment back and more on the back end. Getting myself out there as an actor and paid, especially during this COVID lockdown. What is the question here? How does this work if you're acting and producing your own material? So Stacy, I'm not quite sure I understand your question. So I know you're here with me still. So if you could give me what is the actual one question in there, how does this working for free work if you're acting and producing your own material? I'm not sure I'm following that. And I want to make sure that rather than going in the direction I think that could be, I would love it if you could clarify for me. Melissa says, I agree with Barry. I have so much gratitude for my coaches, agent, people like you that continue to send the elevator back down. Oh, Melissa, absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for watching from London. We're hoping to be in London next year. Oh my gosh. Caroline struggles mostly with, or definitely relationships. Mindset for Nalani, mindset for Barry. Relationships feel the hardest for Brooke. Total Aquarius. Yeah, girl, because you're just too detached to do relationships. I know. The business plan 4.0. Big things might be the relationship, says Stephanie. Jennifer says, so glad I found your video today. I was feeling lost on what I should be doing. Thanks for the focus. You are absolutely welcome. My pleasure. Justine says, mindset has always been a struggle for me and something I work extra towards. Jennifer says, I'm somewhat new, so relationships isn't hard per se, but needs a substantial amount of effort and focus. Yeah, and Jennifer, I'm going to commend you on your language for that. And I know you see this happen a lot in the dojo where someone will leave a comment in the 100 days and I'll go, let's fix that language. Let's use kinder language. You labeled this correctly. You're new. You're new at this. Not I suck at this. Not even I'm bad at this. It's I'm new at this. I'm less practiced at this. This is still new to me. And when something is new to you, it should feel a little like a struggle. It's new. And over time, it's like learning to drive. The very first time you're driving a car, you're like, holy crap, there is so much stuff that I have to pay attention to all at once. And how does anyone ever drive? And today, if you drive, I don't know, does anybody drive anywhere anymore? I haven't in a year. If you get behind the wheel of the car, you're like, there's so much that you do on autopilot that you don't even think about it. And you're multitasking, which you probably shouldn't be doing, but it's very much like that. It will get easier because you're just new at it. Emily says, I forgot the name of the hot sheet that has a roadmap of all the tiers in an actor's career. What was it called again? Emily, you're looking for tiers defined. And if it's not in the hot sheet, you can just Google Bonnie Gillespie tiers defined and you'll land on the PDF or maybe a PNG image of that. I also have a video out on YouTube about it. Relationships for Johnny. Stacy, does this count as not working for free? So Stacy, thank you for clarifying. Here's what I would say. When you are self-producing and not yet paying yourself, and I get that, as a business owner, I only started paying myself last year. I have a multi-six-figure business and have a significant team and pay everybody and didn't have to lay anybody off during COVID times, was able to even hire more people and say, you're safe. Like I have a healthy, thriving business, and I didn't start paying myself until last year. So I totally get that. Is that working for free though? Is that working for free? Like I didn't pay myself, but I reinvested every single dollar my business made back into my business. And then sometimes my business let me take a cruise to Alaska with Abraham Hicks. So like, I think that you're on a technicality on that, and I would not stress about that. I think that your no line is saying yes to unpaid offers for other people's work. while you're working on your own as a producer, you get so many other benefits from that project that you're creating that a paycheck doesn't need to be one of them. And even if you did pay yourself, what would you pay yourself? $125 a day? I mean, so if you want, pay yourself that just so that you could say, yes, I've paid myself and that feels good. But I think that may be a little hair splitty, and you don't need to stress about that at all. I'm not saying you're stressing about it, but if you are, don't. Kristen says relationships, specifically with buyers. I'm pro at hide and seek when it comes to marketing myself consistently. Kristen, it was the last thing we filled in. Consistency. No meerkat. No meerkat. Consistent being seen. Consistent visibility. I know, girl. Excuse me. Roseanne says, although I got to stop with the ginger. I got to switch to water. That's too spicy now. Roseanne says, although I would like to improve all areas, I think mindset needs a bit of TLC. But doesn't it help just to know that? Just knowing that mindset is an area where maybe you're newer or less practiced, just knowing that gives you that boost of being able to spend a little more time and energy on that. Caroline says, oh my gosh, I'm Aquarius. Maybe that's why I struggle with relationships. Yeah, Caroline, Aquarius truth. Aquarius, not very attached to people. Not very interested in the connection with people one-on-one or even small groups. Aquarius, more interested in the collective and community as a whole, and an idealistic way of seeing the world better represented. And so you're way more, in general, Aquarii are way more into the how do we make the world a better, more inclusive, diverse place than how's my one-on-one relationship or how are my small group relationships. Mindset all the way for Channing. Relationships and tools are solid. Great. That I'm the only barrier holding myself back is so clear. Channing, the good news is if you know you're the one holding yourself back, you can fix that. And you're the only one who can fix that. You just have to decide to, and then be consistent with it, and then be forgiving with yourself. Be forgiving of yourself when you slip, because the old muscles, the stronger muscles are always going to take over. You know, there are always going to be self-care places where we don't do what we know we need to do. And we go, what is wrong with me? And it's like, nothing's wrong with you. You just have a lot of inertia for the way it's always been done. The big question for me, says Stephanie, is how to write toward the target. I do research, but then formulate the message toward these people is somehow hard for me. Stephanie, are you talking about like actual submissions or like self-submissions? Give me some more information. Freddie says goals on the road to achievement require discipline and consistency. Boom. Got to do the damn thing. Got to do the damn thing. How do you figure out your acting brand? Freddie, Google Bonnie Gillespie brand survey. And I have a training for you. I have a video and a workbook and a blog post and a podcast episode, all free, to walk you through that. You're welcome, Emily. Yep. Okay, cool. Kristen says, you know me. Yeah, Meerkat. I know. Yes. Had a hellish day, so it's good to see your face. Anna Maria, I love you. Hug yourself. Have you hugged yourself? We're almost done, y'all. Do it again. Okay, bye, Brooke. Thank you. Yep, of course. Absolutely, my pleasure. Claire says, I definitely need to work on asking my peer group for support. I'm quick to offer help and support, but I feel like I'm intruding when I ask for help. So Claire, here's what I will ask of you. Claire, when someone asks you for support, do you ever feel like, oh, fuck, what a burden. I wish they would go somewhere else and ask for help. Or do you go, oh my God, what an honor that they've come to me because they need support. How lucky am I that this friend trusts me when they're feeling down? And then imagine what you're depriving your friends of when you won't give them that. Yeah. You're welcome. Melissa says, my mindset and self-talk is good, focusing on personal accountability and congruence, saying no where needed, and putting healthy boundaries in place. I'm a Scorpio. Melissa, Scorpio is really good with healthy boundaries. Scorpio is really good. The problem is you usually have to get burned before you then set the boundaries, but then that boundary is like set. But see if you can start to use some of the sensitivity that the Scorpio has to know before it's too late that a boundary needs to be set. Hello, Alex. Good to see you, sweetheart. After doing a brand survey, I'm currently working with a stylist to fine-tune how best to present my brand. I love that. That sounds great, Barry. Of course, Claire, you love helping people. And they do too. Let them. Emily says, as someone who's just transitioning out of copy credit meals tier work, should I be targeting CDs for network shows? How do I reach target buyers for big non-union projects? Emily, do you have my book? Get Self-Management for Actors. Watch the targeting videos. Get specifically clear on who your buyers are, and don't look for how do I reach all of them. It becomes so organically clear when you do that level of work, that granular work, that you'll find you stop asking blanket questions like that, because there aren't blanket answers. It's your specific targets are going to tell you what they want. They're going to show you what they respond to, and you just need to keep fine-tuning your messaging to align with what you see them responding to. Stephanie says, for example, in submissions or getting contact for the first time with a director I feel connected to, but then there's that little voice. Then there's that little voice. How do you want to get in touch or write him or her? It's a mix of target and boundaries problem. Okay, well, Stephanie, well labeled. Well labeled. I'm glad that you know that it is a mix of target and boundaries. So first off, on the boundaries feeling wobbly, work on your enoughness. Work on your enoughness. Why am I out of focus? Did I go too far away from the camera? Hello, I'm over here. Show up on the focus. Okay, there we go. Your enoughness needs fortifying. You know this. You know this. Okay, great. So work on that. And then also know that if your targets are specific enough, they're going to welcome hearing from you because you solve a problem that we have. So then it's not, oh, who am I to get in touch with them? It's, who am I to deprive them of knowing I exist when I am a solution to so many of their casting problems? Right? It's enoughness. It's enoughness. It's enoughness. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I know, Melissa. Girl, I know. I know my Scorpios. I know. Caroline says, do you find Aquarius is more sensitive and emotional? No. No. Caroline, here's what I find about Aquarius. More detached and easier to be cold emotionally. It's some other element. It's some other sign somewhere in your chart. I would look at where Venus is. You may have like Venus in Pisces or something. That is where that very deep sensitivity and emotional lives. But Aquarius tends to be kind of cut off from that. Air signs in general don't do emotions as much as the water signs. So I would just take a look at where, and maybe your rising or your moon are in, look at your moon, because the moon rules emotions. And so if your moon is in a water sign, that could explain it as well. Okay, great, Emily. I'm so glad. Thanks, Claron. That's very sweet. Say rabbit to bring the focus back. Really? Barry, tell me more about that. Excellent. Clara's helped me with my self-tapes many times, says Kirion. That's so good. I love it. I love it. Yep. Elizabeth's like, Gemini, not emotional either. No, I know, Elizabeth. It's like, who could be bothered with those emotions? Those are inconvenient. All right. So now we're just chatting. Y'all, did you get everything you need out of this? And if you're like, no, I need more, you know where to go. BonnieGillespie.com/offer, and I will support you through 100 straight days of this. You will join me on the live Zoom that we're having on the 20th, just 7 days from now. And I will see you in the dojo in the comments, 24/7, 365, or 24/7, 100, and 365 if you choose to stay on with us and go lifer. Yes, your moon, Justine. Yep. Got everything you need? Okay. Do it. Nicole says, thank you for your continuous generosity, Bonnie. Your live streams are so helpful. And listening to you always brightens my day. Nicole, thank you. I appreciate you. I love you, sweetheart. Yes. Okay, good. Yay. Oh, I love all those hearts, Barry. Thank you. One more self-hug. You deserve it. And you don't have to behave a certain way to deserve a self-hug. You deserve it because you're human, and this gives you a dopamine hit. Even freaking hugging yourself gives you a dopamine hit that right now all our brains are desperately seeking. Just on the woo of it all, we got some very weird big astro coming up over the next couple of weeks. So please go easy on your media diet. Go easy on your news consumption. Go easy on Twitter. Just go easy. Go easy. Read a book. Get in a tub. Again, you could still do your new moon intentions from last night. Plant some seeds. for what the next 6 months want to look like for you. Capricorn in particular, all about career and putting in the work. What does that need to look like for you? I love you, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me. You can go to bonniegillespie.com/events to see when I will next be live somewhere. I think I'm going to do a Clubhouse tomorrow to help everybody who's joined Clubhouse recently just learn their way around, because I got a lot of people going, okay, now what? And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to host a room tomorrow and help y'all out. So make sure you're following me at Clubhouse and that you have the little bell ticked so it will actually notify you every time I'm in a room speaking. I agree, Roseanne. Thank you everyone for sharing your questions. That is super, super helpful. Really appreciate y'all. And let me just put the link in here one more time for those who would like to join us. No guarantees on how long this is going to be open, because we usually are closed for this, but I opened this up to help out anybody who's like, yes, 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 I want to join. This will allow you to get my help and support, and of course my amazing team, and the support of hundreds of other ninjas who are going through the 100 days together, including non-showbiz types. We have for the first time, a significant number of non-showbiz creatives, creative entrepreneurs in our membership. And that's been really fun, like adapting some of the days that are like, oh, this is a very actor day, into what does that look like for someone who's a wedding photographer, for example. It's really cool. Yes. Awesome. I'm so glad. All right. Thank you, beautiful people. Be well. Take care of yourselves. I love you. Stay ninja. Bye, y'all.